If you live in Ontario like me, you're probably tired of how a certain someone, not pointing any fingers, has handled the pandemic. Well, I have a solution for you. Just leave. I'm only sort of joking, but as more and more people get their second dose, and with travel restrictions easing up, many of you are probably itching to get out of the house and travel. So today, I'm going to be talking about how much it realistically costs to travel to one of Canada's gems, Banff. Yo, what's good? My name's Kang, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the cost of my Banff trip. I'll be giving you the total, and I'll be telling you what I would do differently if I could do it again. But before we get started, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button because it really helps the channel grow. So I just came back from a trip to Banff with my girlfriend and another couple. Overall, it was a really great time, and I really recommend you checking out Banff at least once in your lifetime. I went for 6 nights, and the overall goal of my trip was to get the most of Banff while still trying to stay on somewhat of a budget. All of us were double vaxxed for 2 weeks before we went, and we decided to go to Banff because it's outdoors and it's pretty easy to social distance. Now that we have some background out of the way, let's start breaking down the cost. First, transportation. I spent a total of $644 on transportation, and that includes the cost of a flight as well as a rental car. The total cost of the flight was $470. We flew with a budget airline called Flair from Toronto to Calgary. The cost of the flight was $363 round trip, which is a really good deal. But once you factor in the cost of a carry-on, and yes, I said cost of carry-on because Flair charges you for that, it ended up being around $470. And for that price, I could have flown with Air Canada or WestJet, which was a similar price at the time, which I'll go over later. We also needed a rental-car to get to Banff from Calgary, so we ended up renting a car through a company called Budget, which is, well, a budget option for rental cars. In total, this cost $560 for 6 days. Once we factor in the gas and the parking, the total vehicle cost was around $160 per person. Now, this cost would be drastically cheaper if we're 25, but it is what it is. Next up, accommodation. In total, I spent $352 on accommodation, and we ended up staying in an Airbnb. We found a pretty nice Airbnb for $250 a night, and after taxes and cleaning, it came out to $352 a person. Now, since Banff is a huge tourist attraction, we decided to stay in a city called Canmore, which is about 20 minutes away from Banff, to try to cut down the cost. We decided to choose an Airbnb over a hotel because we wanted a kitchen where we could cook food and save some money. Which brings me to how much I spent on food. In total, I spent $180 on food, split between groceries and eating out. $77 of the total went to groceries and alcohol, and the other $100 went to eating out. And a lot of people are probably thinking, Kang, why on earth would you cook during your vacation? Aren't you supposed to be relaxing? For me, I personally don't mind cooking, and it was actually a little bit more convenient for us. Since a lot of the stuff that we were doing were early morning hikes that were pretty long, it was actually easier for us to cook food and bring it with us because, there's no McDonald's 15 kilometers through a hike. For groceries, my girlfriend and I spent $144 split between the food and the alcohol. We split it evenly down the middle, so it ended up being $77 a person. We focused on getting food that was easy to make and packable. We also made sure to get snacks like fruits and granola bars for the hikes, and we made sure to get Gatorade because, those hikes are pretty long. And of course, we threw in some alcohol to have a nice drink at the end of the day. Also, quick tangent. Does anyone know why alcohol in Alberta is so much more expensive than it is in Ontario? Anyways, aside from groceries, there was a couple times where we went out to eat lunch and dinner, and that ended up being around $100 for me for around 3 meals. Okay, after food, you have attractions, and for the most part, attractions in Banff are pretty much free. You have to pay to get into the national parks, and if you buy a parks pass, which is basically a pass that lets you get in for the whole entire year, it's around $145. Banff also has daily car rates as well, but we were really lucky and our friend actually gave us their old parks pass, so we didn't have to pay for that. But once you get into Banff, there's a bunch of free things that you can do, which are mostly hikes. Out of all the hikes and all the attractions, this is the one thing I highly recommend you do if you go to Banff. You gotta see Lake Moraine at sunrise. It's an hour drive west from Banff, and you probably gotta wake up at 3 a.m. if you're living around the Banff area, but 1000% it is worth it. I honestly think that sunrise view is the most beautiful thing I've seen in my entire life, and I saw Kawhi hit that Game 7 buzzer beater over Joel Embiid in real life. Okay, maybe on second thought, Lake Moraine's a close second. There's also Lake Louise that you can see as well. It's pretty close to Lake Moraine, so if you're going to Lake Moraine for sunrise, you can check out Lake Louise later in the day. But I'm warning you, every lake that you see after Lake Moraine is gonna kind of suck. At Lake Louise, there's a bunch of hikes you can do, and if you do end up hiking, I recommend doing some combination of Plain of Six Glaciers and Lake Agnes Tea House. Agnes. Banff is full of amazing hikes, but realistically, you can't hike every single day unless you're Bear Grylls or you're literally training for a marathon. So, you need some other activities to fill in the gaps. For our group, we planned 5 activities where we're like, what can we do that we don't really need to use our legs for? Those 5 activities were horseback riding, paddleboarding, canoeing, taking a gondola, and doing this mountain climb thing called Via Ferrata. For horseback riding, canoeing, and the gondola, we booked a package that ended up being around $150 a person. Now, if you plan on doing all three of these activities, I recommend doing it through a package because it's probably cheaper than if you were to book them individually. For paddleboarding, my girlfriend and I rented one between us and it was $47 for the day. Finally, we did a guided tour of a mountain climb. They were using this technique called Via Ferrata where you're basically clipping into different spots with a carabiner. It's pretty cool. The tour was $232 a person, but I didn't end up going because my girlfriend twisted her ankle pretty bad the day before and I felt bad leaving her alone. I'm also really afraid of heights, so it kind of worked out for me in the end. My girlfriend was able to get her reservation fully refunded because she got a doctor's note for her sprained ankle. I unfortunately was not able to get a doctor's note for my non-sprained ankle, but she was nice enough to split the refund with me. So after the refund, I ended up only paying $116. After all was said and done, the grand total was $1,492.28. This may seem like a lot or a little bit depending on yourself and your personal budget, but for me, it was pretty good. Banff is a pretty expensive place to visit, and even though we got really lucky with the parks pass and even with our flights, it still ended up being a pretty expensive trip. For $1,500, I could probably do an all-inclusive resort in Mexico for like a week. And looking back on my trip, I can definitely see areas where I could have saved on. For example, I could have lived in a hostel instead of getting an Airbnb and saved $100, but I think we actually got a pretty good deal with the Airbnb and I actually really liked it. I also could have spent less on eating out and the paid attractions, but considering I only ate out a couple of times and I got that partial refund and the fact that my legs literally couldn't handle hike after hike, I think I did pretty good in those two categories. We also could have saved some money on the car insurance that we paid for the rental car, but we weren't able to because a certain someone, I don't really know who it was, didn't know that their license was expired. Because the license was expired, I couldn't book the car and I also couldn't pay with my credit card, which means I couldn't use my credit card's travel insurance, which means someone else had to rent the car and their credit card didn't have travel insurance, which means we had to pay an additional $30 a day for rental insurance. And funny story about expired licenses, they almost didn't let me fly back home because my driver's license was expired and I didn't bring my passport. So I guess the moral of the story is make sure your license is renewed. And on the note of transportation, we flew with Flair Airlines, which ended up being very cheap. $363 round trip is a really, really good deal. But considering that I did take a carry-on, that brought the price to $470, which is around the same price as a fully fledged airline like Air Canada or WestJet. For our flight to Calgary, we actually flew out of Kitchener Airport. So looking back, maybe I would have gone with one of those fully fledged options so I could have gone out of Toronto Pearson's both ways. But other than some crying babies and some mild turbulence, Flair Airlines was pretty good and I'd probably fly with them again. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the amount I spent. This was my first time traveling without being like mega broke. So I definitely think that there's some room for improvement. But if you're wondering how I tracked all this information, you can watch this video right here where I go over how I budget and give you my exact template.